Welcome back to the AI Ripple Effect podcast, everybody. Today we're joined by Rob Jensen, who is the co-founder and co-CEO of miiplan. Welcome to the podcast, Rob.
Thank you, Adrian. It is a pleasure to be speaking with you today.
Pleasure to have you here, and looking forward to getting stuck into understanding more about miiplan. On that vein, why don't we start by you giving us a bit of background to your journey and also a bit of background about what miiplan do and who you serve from a customer perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's work backwards there. So miiplan was a company that I co-founded with my partner, Kim Egens. He's out of Norway. I'm out of the US. And what we try and do at miiplan is optimize picking within warehouses. So within warehouses, picking accounts for about 50% of labor spend. And so it is one of the most costly parts of running a warehouse. And so we thought, well, if there's a way to improve the routing that pickers take within a warehouse, we can improve productivity and decrease labor spend. So we spent about a year and a half developing a platform that we could roll out seamlessly to warehouses and provide that optimized routing. Works completely in the back end, so there is no real user interface. We are resequencing the pick path that the users will take, and in doing so, what we're able to do is improve productivity and decrease labor spend.
Awesome. So your customers are anybody who has a heavy workforce load on their warehousing activities, I guess?
Yeah, so on average, the typical client that we see is about 12 people per facility. Obviously, with larger facilities, you're able to see more of a cost reduction than smaller facilities because you have more pickers. But primarily, what we are doing is we're partnering with WMS companies and providing the technology to integrate with them because it's a very specialized function that we offer.
Got it. Okay, that's it's amazing. So obviously you get a wide range of customers who need warehousing capabilities and through those WMS partners. What are you seeing as the key trends in the market at the moment, Rob, regarding, anything from workforce labor constraints, companies needing to optimize their costs, which I guess would drive the usage of your platform, and improving efficiency, again, a key factor of miiplan?
Yeah, one of the conversations that seems to come up recurring is we have so much cost in labor spend. We're spending so much on labor. How do we get our costs down? If you think about inflation, especially here in the US, we've seen more inflation than we have in the previous decades, and so a lot of that is going into wages. So just that natural friction has increased costs to run a warehouse, especially when a lot of those costs are driven by your labor overhead. So that's a conversation that is a great starting point for us when we talk about what our product is. But that's about where that conversation stops. Is if you can help us with this, that's great. Like we're happy because the costs are killing us.
Got it. And more broadly in the market, not just the warehousing space, are you seeing any key trends emerging through your conversations with customers and partners?
Yeah, I hear a lot about generative AI, agentic AI. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. So that's not a space that we're in specifically, but a lot of conversation around how do we use ChatGPT? Is there some way that we can integrate this with our systems and get more usefulness out of our solutions? Where can we input intelligence? And I think that's a very interesting conversation because as far as I'm aware, there haven't been any leaders to take that space. The supply chain industry, logistics industry is still figuring that out. So it's a great place to be. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing with those questions being posed and the answers being pretty wide ranging.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. It's an area that everybody's now looking to see what is our strategy in that space. And it's a great link to getting your perspective on what is your take on AI in logistics. Obviously, you're seeing people talking about it and starting to have some thoughts in that space, but are you seeing any adoption in any specific sector? Is it around some of the visual side that you guys are doing? Is it more operational? Is it across both?
Yeah, so I'm starting to see AI getting integrated with warehouse management systems.
Right.
So one of the companies that we are speaking with has integrated a chat function so that you can search the data that they have and come up with cool questions that you're able to answer with the data. So where that leads is the ability to use data that companies already have in a more efficient way versus hiring a data scientist and saying, okay, we have these very specific questions. Can you go look in the data and see what we are able to answer with this? Now, with those integrated functions, it lowers the barrier to entry to be
Yeah.
able to find those answers to the questions. You're moving from, I think, a less specialized data analyst, data scientist role into something that is easier to use as a non-technical individual.
Got it. Got it. And I guess from the warehouse perspective, are there any sort of robotic AI advancements you're seeing yet, or is that still early?
From the conversations I've been having, robotics and its place in warehousing seems to be limited to the very largest of the large
Right.
operators. So think your top 50, maybe top 100 companies in the world, because the expense to implement one of those robotic solutions are very high up front, but they do offer savings over time. So just that initial capital outlay seems to be prohibitive for a lot of companies that aren't your Fortune 100s.
Got it. I mean, you talked earlier about certainly the warehouse management side of logistics, be very keen on reducing that overhead from a cost perspective of being overly reliant on people. Do you see that also in a sort of operational side from standard, customer relations, from managing expenses, managing invoices, that kind of stuff? Is that also what people, a low-hanging fruit that people are looking at?
Yeah. So a lot of those back office functions. I mean, the back office of supply chain is a lot of paperwork. I think there was a startup a couple years ago, and one of their main goals was to eliminate sticky notes
Right.
and Excel files that you're trading back and forth to run your operations. And they thought, well, if we can start to limit this, we're off to the right track. And I think, supply chain as it has progressed over the last, let's call it 50 years, so many of the functionalities just worked that we didn't question, could we be doing anything better as a field? It was more putting out fires. My career, I started with Walmart out of undergrad in store operations, and that was quite the place to learn about supply chain. Even then, there were so many things that you had to do in a day in and day out basis just to make the business needs, just to meet the business needs. That a perfect day never really occurred. So if there were ways to improve that, at your Fortune 1, all the way throughout the industry, I think that's what people are starting to look at. How can we work smarter, not harder, to overcome these problems?
Got it. It'd be interesting, obviously, your journey to date, and it's great that you've had that great experience from Walmart. But from the perspective of my plan, what have been those key milestones and any challenges along the way to in your journeys to where you are today?
Yeah, so I guess I kind of skipped over my background at the beginning, but my plan grew out of a PhD research project. So I have my PhD from the University of Arkansas in supply chain, and one of my dissertation topics was around warehouse process optimization. So worked with a different startup to come up with a solution that would improve productivity. And the solution worked. Everyone was happy from the end client to the startup I was helping, but there was still something missing there. And so that's where we spent time coming up with a platform that's scalable, but also fits many different operational styles. So we made it very flexible as well. And the design stage for this product was quite the challenge. So now that we're over that hurdle, some of our challenges are outreach. Are we connecting with the right companies who are excited about our product? Are we able to integrate with leading WMS solutions? Because we are not a WMS company, we augment the picking process. So we do have to integrate with other solutions providers. So you have the mundane integration challenges as well as the bringing awareness to the field of what you can do without investing in robotics, because our initial capital outlay to ROI, I mean, you should see an ROI in the first couple months. We're not saying 2 years down the road, yes, you'll start to see this hit the bottom line. We want to see those effects right away.
Got it. That's a great case for adopting my plan if you get that quick ROI. So brilliant. And I often ask this question now that you've gone through this journey and you are in this position with the benefit of hindsight. If you were able to, say, have a time machine and go back 12 months or so, would you do anything different?
I had that same question posed about a year and a half ago as we were doing the R&D stretch, and my answer at that point was, I don't think we would do anything differently. Here we are, another 18 months down the line. One of the things that I think we definitely could have done better is getting our product out in front of clients earlier, which is something in tech. You want to send it out before you think you're ready, and I think we could have done that better. But we wanted to get all of our ducks in a row and make sure the solution worked and was delivering the promised results, so we didn't sell too many expectations that we couldn't deliver. So that's where I think it's a little bit of a trade-off. I don't think we did a poor job, but that would have been the one major thing that I would have changed over the last 12 months.
And okay, so hindsight and looking back, perfect. What about the future for miiplan? What are your key targets for the next, say, 12 months or 18 months?
Yeah, so I'm very excited about the product that we've put out, and I'm excited to see that roll out and that business grow. But I think what I'm equally as excited about is the ability to develop more functionality beyond optimized picking. So once we start having those conversations and start demoing the product, we often get the feedback of, oh, this is great, but could your solution also do X, Y, and Z? So we've got a list of things that we'd love to be able to develop. But I think from a business perspective, we'll be using the revenue from our first product to continue the R&D so that we're able to stay bootstrapped as long as we can, as long as that makes sense. So up to this point, we have bootstrapped the company. It is just the two of us officially, and we've made it a lot further than I would have anticipated had you told me the constraints that we'd been working under. Yeah, once we start to get more of the rollouts scheduled and integrations going, it'll be nice to be able to reinvest in the business and see how we can scale it, without taking the time to raise funds.
So on that increasing your revenue to keep you guys in food and drink, where can people, if they're interested in finding out more about miiplan, where can they go, Rob, to get that information?
Yeah, so we have information available at miiplan.com, and we also have a very light LinkedIn presence, so it's not something that I've been keeping up with. People can email me directly, and we can schedule those calls, rob@miiplan.com, and we have some more information that we're able to share with people. Average annual savings per warehouse is about $72,000. We're hoping that gets the attention of folks, and we're able to grow organically.
Awesome. I'll make sure that we include those links in the description of this podcast so people can find out more about miiplan and those amazing savings. That's great. So listen, Rob, brilliant to have you on board. Great insights. Thank you very much for joining us today. For everybody out there, thank you again for joining this episode of the AI Ripple Effect. We will see you in the next episode. But for now, Rob, thank you.
Thank you so much, Adrian. It's been a pleasure.